I found them on a Tuesday afternoon while looking for my sunglasses. Jake had taken my car to get the oil changed, so I was using his SUV to pick up groceries. I reached into the glove compartment, and my hand brushed against a folder I'd never seen before. I almost didn't open it. I wish I hadn't. Inside were divorce papers. Official, stamped, notarized documents. My heart stopped as I read the names at the top. Jake Michael Torres versus Rebecca Ann Torres. Rebecca, not Emma, not me. I read it again, my hands shaking. The papers were dated 3 months ago. The divorce had been finalized. My husband, the man I'd been married to for 2 years, had apparently been married to someone else. Someone named Rebecca. Someone he'd divorced while we were together. I sat in that car in the grocery store parking lot for 20 minutes, staring at those documents. Our wedding photos were still on our living room wall. I'd just renewed our joint bank account last week. We were planning a trip to visit his parents next month. None of it made sense. I drove home in a daze, the folder sitting on the passenger seat like a bomb. When I walked in, Jake was on the couch watching football, drinking a beer like it was any other day. He smiled at me, that easy, charming smile that had made me fall in love with him. "Hey, babe, did you get the steaks for dinner?" I set my purse down carefully. "I found something in your car." His face didn't change, but something flickered in his eyes. Recognition. Fear. "What do you mean?" I threw the folder onto the coffee table. The papers spilled out across the surface. He stared at them for a long moment, then closed his eyes. "Emma, I can explain. You were married before," I said. My voice sounded strange, distant. "You were married to someone named Rebecca, and you never told me." He stood up, hands raised like he was calming a wild animal. "It was a mistake. A stupid mistake from years ago. We got married in Vegas when we were kids, barely 20. It didn't mean anything. I forgot about it until you forgot you were married." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. He ran his hands through his hair, pacing. "We separated right after. Never lived together, never even told our families. I thought it just went away. Then last year, I found out it was still legally valid. I had to file for divorce to fix it, last year." I felt something cold settle in my chest. "You found out last year, before we got married." He went pale. "Emma, please. Our wedding was 10 months ago. Jake, you married me while you were still married to her." The words hung in the air between us. Everything made sense now. Why he'd insisted on a small ceremony at City Hall instead of the church wedding I wanted. Why he'd been so weird about the marriage license paperwork. Why his mother had that strange look on her face when I called myself Mrs. Torres for the first time. "Were you ever going to tell me?" I asked. He reached for my hand, but I stepped back. "I fixed it. That's what matters. The divorce went through. We're clear now. Legally, we're fine." "Legally?" I stared at him. "That's what you're worried about. Not that you lied to me for over a year. Not that our entire marriage started as a fraud. I didn't leave that night. I should have, but I didn't. Instead, I went to our bedroom, locked the door, and lay in the dark, trying to understand how my life had become someone else's lie." Jake slept on the couch. In the morning, he apologized through the door, promised we'd work through it, said he loved me. I said nothing. I went to work like normal, answered emails, attended meetings. My coworker Sarah asked if I was okay. I smiled and said I was just tired. That night, Jake tried again. He'd made dinner, bought flowers, written me a long letter about how sorry he was. I read it while he watched, hopefully. It was full of excuses about being scared, about not knowing how to tell me, about how the past didn't matter. I folded it carefully and set it on the table. "I need time to think," I said. He nodded, relieved that I was at least talking, but I wasn't thinking about forgiveness. I was thinking about all the moments that suddenly made sense. His reluctance to combine our finances fully, the way he deflected when I wanted to update our wills, how he never wanted me to meet his college friends. I started investigating. Late at night, while Jake thought I was processing my feelings, I was searching for Rebecca Torres online. It didn't take long to find her. She lived 2 states away, worked as a teacher, had a whole life that had nothing to do with me. I found her Facebook profile. There were photos of her at her wedding to someone else, dated 8 months ago. In one photo, she was laughing with her bridesmaids, holding a bouquet. She looked happy, free, like someone who'd moved on from a mistake. I wondered if she knew Jake had remarried while they were still technically married. I wondered if she'd care. Then I found something that made my blood run cold. A mutual friend's comment on one of her old photos from 2 years ago. Can't believe Jake actually showed up to your engagement party. Thought you two never wanted to see each other again. 2 years ago, when Jake was dating me. He'd gone to his ex-wife's engagement party while we were together, while he was still married to her, while he was planning to propose to me. I took screenshots of everything. I documented it all, every date, every detail. Jake had no idea what I was doing. For 2 weeks, I played the role of the forgiving wife, considering reconciliation. I let Jake think his apologies were working. I agreed to couples counseling, which he seemed to think meant I was committed to saving us. During our first session, he told the therapist about his youthful mistake and how he'd protected me from unnecessary pain by handling the divorce quietly. The therapist asked how I felt. I said I was hurt but willing to work on trust. Jake squeezed my hand, hopeful. But at home I was preparing. I'd consulted with a lawyer privately, using my lunch breaks. She'd reviewed the divorce papers I'd found and confirmed what I'd suspected. My marriage to Jake might not be legally valid. Because he'd married me before his divorce was finalized, I might have grounds for annulment. More than that, I had grounds for fraud. I could walk away from this marriage like it never happened. The lawyer asked what I wanted to do. I told her I needed 1 more week. There was something I needed to do first. Jake's parents were coming to visit. They'd planned this trip months ago, a big family dinner to celebrate his father's retirement. The dinner was at our house. Jake's parents, his sister, and her husband, his aunt and uncle. 12 people total, gathered around the dining table I'd carefully set with our wedding china. Jake's mother kept complimenting the roast, saying what a good wife I was. His father toasted to family and to Jake finally settling down with a keeper. I smiled and thanked them, playing the part perfectly. Then, as dessert was being served, I stood up. Actually, I have something to share, I said calmly. Jake looked up, confused. Everyone turned to me expectantly, probably thinking I was about to announce a pregnancy. I reached under my chair and pulled out a folder, same folder I'd found in his car. I found these a few weeks ago, I said, placing the divorce papers in the center of the table. Jake's divorce papers. From his marriage to Rebecca Torres, the room went silent. Jake's mother's face went white. His father set down his wine glass. "What is this?" his father asked. Jake stood up quickly. "Emma, not like this." "Not like what?" I asked. "Not in front of your family. The family that attended our wedding 10 months ago. The wedding that happened while you were still married to someone else." His sister gasped. His mother covered her mouth. Jake's father stood up slowly, staring at his son. "You were still married when you married Emma?" I nodded. The divorce wasn't finalized until 3 months ago. Our entire marriage was built on a lie. Jake tried to explain, stammering about mistakes and paperwork and how it was all technical, but his father cut him off. You committed bigamy. Are you insane? It wasn't bigamy, Dad. I fixed it. After the fact, his father roared. You married this woman under false pretenses. His mother was crying now. His sister looked at me with horror and sympathy. I remained calm, standing at the head of the table like I was chairing a meeting. I filed for annulment, I said clearly. As far as the law is concerned, Jake and I were never validly married. I'll be moving out this weekend. I thought you all deserved to know why. Jake reached for me, his voice breaking. Emma, please. We can fix this. There's nothing to fix, I said quietly. You've made your choices. You lied to me for over a year. You let me believe I was your wife when you knew I wasn't. I picked up my purse from the counter. I'd already packed my important belongings, already arranged to stay with Sarah until I found my own place. I looked at Jake one last time. He was standing there in the ruins of his family dinner, tears in his eyes, surrounded by relatives who were looking at him like they didn't recognize him. I hope Rebecca got a better divorce settlement than I did, I said. Then I walked out. I didn't slam the door. I just closed it quietly behind me, leaving behind the sound of his mother's sobs and his father's angry questions. In my car, I sat for a moment, hands on the steering wheel. Then I started the engine and drove away from that house, that marriage, that lie. 3 months later, the annulment was finalized. Legally, my marriage to Jake Torres never existed. I got my maiden name back, closed our joint accounts, and moved into a small apartment across town. I heard through mutual friends that Jake's family had cut him off, that his mother wouldn't speak to him. I felt no satisfaction in that, no revenge. I just felt free. The day the papers came through, I took myself out to dinner. Just me, a good bottle of wine, and a future that belonged entirely to myself. I toasted to the woman who'd had the courage to walk away, to trust her instincts, and to refuse to live in someone else's deception. Some marriages end in divorce. Mine ended in truth. And that was the best ending I could have asked for.